Capcom! Mega Man Maverick Hunter X!
Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and welcome to a bonus episode of Let's Play Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the unlockables that we get for beating Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. The first one up here is in New Game. When you beat this game with X, you unlock Vile. We've already done a full playthrough of Vile, but there's another difficulty option you can choose when starting a new game here in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. Hard Mode. This mode, we're not going to be covering via the New Game option here. Instead, we're going to go back into the Continue screen, because when we beat both X mode and Vile mode, we were prompted to save the game in a cleared file state. And I'm going to be using this said state to show off hard mode. So I have a file here prepared already that has the game beaten as X and as Vile as well in hard mode. So let's go ahead and load up this clear file and see what's different. So immediately loading into Mega Man Maverick Hunter X here, we can see we have every single stage available for us right from the get-go. We have every single Maverick, and we even have the beginning stage here, Central Highway, to select. Not just that, but if we go over to the right of the screen, we have all of the Sigma Power stages here available as well. All these stages have been reset to a point where we have not actually gone through any of the stages at all. So we're essentially in a New Game Plus state, and we'll be demonstrating that by going through not Central Highway, but let's go through another stage, one that already had some alterations during our main playthrough as Mega Man himself. And that is going to be the electromagnetic power plant.
Spark Mandrill.
I'm beginning the mission.
So jumping into Spark Mandrill stage, you will see we have every single weapon available to us. Not just that, but if we hold down our charge here for quite some time, you'll notice that I have Zero's Charge Buster, as this is how I ended my game with X. I also have every single upgrade available to X, and we have all 4 sub-tanks, although they are emptied. This is because all 4 of the sub-tanks were used in the final fight against Sigma, so they retained their value. But we're here in Spark Mandrill stage specifically to show that the electricity here is flowing. Because we did not beat Storm Eagle at this point, this stage has its main gimmick intact. So that makes the stage a lot harder to go through. But we're also playing on hard mode, which at this point in time, you're not really able to see too much of a difference in hard mode, but this difficulty, as the name implies, makes your adventure a lot harder. But it mainly just affects the damage output to X himself. In this state, X takes more damage compared to the normal difficulty. So health is a lot bigger of a factor here, same for getting the armor upgrade for X and having as many sub-tanks as possible. But other than the difficulty of the health changing, there's really not that much else that's different. Except the bosses at the end of stages can have different moves in hard mode. But the thing is, and we'll see when we fight Spark Mandrill, these said different moves are also things you can see in the normal mode difficulty. Hard mode just makes different attacks from the different Mavericks available more often. So you don't have to play hard mode to see all the attacks from a said Maverick, but it's more likely you'll see their exclusive abilities in hard mode specifically. So that's one thing to note about the said difficulty change here, is some attacks will be changed as well. But in New Game Plus specifically, retaining all of your specific abilities, your weapons, even all your health upgrades and sub-tanks definitely makes things easier. But if you did not get all of the set upgrades in your run-through of Maverick Hunter X, those upgrades that you missed will be in these stages in this New Game Plus state. So if you missed anything, you can go back and grab those said items in New Game Plus as well. So that is one thing to note. But besides that, you're basically playing the game in essentially a level select state here. So there's no real end goal. You can technically go beat the game immediately as soon as you start your adventure here in New Game Plus. But it is nice you can go back and replay the game at any given time once you beat the main adventure. Once we get into the Maverick lair, the cutscene for the said Maverick will play out in the same way it does when we first meet any said Maverick on the stage.
X, you showed up.
Spark Mandrill, do us both a favor and surrender peacefully.
I don't think so, X. Oppose me and I'll crush you.
Sounds like you've gone Maverick. Your time has come, Spark Mandrill.
I'm not the smartest guy around, X, but I have a feeling that Sigma is right.
So let's go ahead and fight Spark Mandrill here. Gonna let him get out some attacks because using his weakness makes this fight an absolute joke. But we do have ourselves the main weapon here, so we'll be using shotgun ice here and there in the fight. At this point, I'm just gonna play it more safe. I do not want this fight to end very, very fast. As you can see here, the fight is basically playing out the same as it does in normal difficulty. There'll be some attacks we may be able to see here and there that is different. And I will say, that is probably the thing that's worth playing hard mode for, is just seeing some of the newer attacks from Mavericks. But playing in hard mode doesn't guarantee you'll see these said new attacks.
Mission accomplished.
Once you beat a stage, you'll see that the icon for that said Maverick does not gray out like it does in the main playthrough, meaning that the stage is still in the state where you can go back and play it again, but alterations for stages will actually apply now if you end up going to a stage and already completing it. So for example, Spark Mandrill, we saw the effects of all of the electricity flowing through the stage because we didn't defeat Storm Eagle. But if we defeated Storm Eagle and then come back over to Spark Mandrill stage, we can see that the stage is destroyed and now the electric effect is now turned off. Depending on the order of how you play things, it can still affect things in the New Game Plus state, where stages can have alterations based on the Mavericks you defeat. Even though it doesn't look like that based on the stage select, that flag in the game is still set, meaning if you beat a boss, another stage could have things affected. Alright, so now we're playing Mega Man Maverick Hunter X via Vile's New Game Plus mode here. And as we can see, all of the stages here are available in New Game Plus here at Vile, all the way up to Sigma Palace 3. As a reminder, Sigma Palace 3 is Vile's final stage in his campaign. So we can go through any one of these said stages. I'm going to go ahead and pick the very first stage of the game, Central Highway. And jumping into the stage here, we can see our equipment menu has gotten a very, very nice new addition here. The amount of points now we can use to equip weapons has increased from a maximum of 32 points to infinity, meaning now we can equip whatever we want without having to worry about the maximum amount of points that we can use here in our setup. So for example, we can go over to our fists and equip the Golden Right, which is the most expensive arm piece here. And now we're at 42 of infinity. If we were still at our maximum 32 points used total here, we'd be 10 points over, meaning we wouldn't be able to equip the Golden Right. So in New Game Plus here, we can equip whatever we want here in any kind of combination. And because of this, we have a lot more experimentation here with this said playthrough of Vile's campaign. So equipping the Golden Right, Maroon Tomahawk, and Burning Drive, we are 16 points over the max cap that we would have playing the game via the normal way of playing through Vile without going through New Game Plus. So this is going to allow us to experiment a lot more. It is recommended to play through Vile's campaign in New Game Plus to get a feel of every single one of the weapons that this character unlocks from his said campaign. But I am playing through this state of New Game Plus in hard mode, which is not really recommended to do with Vile, simply because Vile is already a glass cannon on his own, so combining how frail Vile is in his own campaign with hard mode's extra difficulty of just making you take more damage as a whole, it really does make Vile's campaign in some areas really hard to get through. In some cases, it could be next to impossible to you, depending on how good of a player you are at playing through Maverick Hunter X. So I will say, playing through hard mode here at Vile, not really recommended, as this campaign is already hard enough on its own. But if you found his campaign to be a little too easy, then, well, hard mode can be the difficulty for you. So that is a big thing that I just kind of want to mention for Vile's hard mode, because outside the said difficulty bump of having more damage taken every time you get hit, everything else is the same here. Bosses will have some extra attacks, just like with X's hard mode, but they can also use these extra attacks in the normal mode, so you may not actually notice a difference between normal mode and hard mode when it comes to some of these boss fights. It's a very similar experience to X's hard mode. But that's X defeated in 2 shots with the Golden Right, really showing just how much damage this specific weapon can do to this character, and something we can find out because of New Game Plus. So, really nice to have this New Game Plus state for both X and Vile.
Mega Man Maverick Hunter X.
Back on the title screen, I want to go ahead and show off another thing we unlocked for beating Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, and that is here in the movie section. For beating Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, we unlock ourselves a little feature film here on our PSP, The Day of Sigma. We can watch it all at once, or we can watch it back via 4 different chapters: Gone Berserk, Hunter Base, Investigation, and Missile Base. This is not terribly long of a short film, but this is a nice unlockable you get for beating Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. Mega Man Maverick Hunter X is not only a remake of the original Super Nintendo game, but it's a retelling of the first game's plot. So this specific storyline here via the Day of Sigma is different compared to how the Super Nintendo game structured the story. In some ways, it's considered a retcon to what happened to the Mega Man X series, going between Mega Man X1 all the way through 4, with Sigma's backstory along with some of the other characters. It's a fun and interesting watch, and I definitely recommend you give this little short animation a watch if you own a copy of Mega Man Maverick Hunter X yourself. We're not going to be watching the full movie here, simply because this is definitely something that's better to watch on your own time to get more of the story across. But the general summary of the Day of Sigma is that this short film tells the tale of what happened to Mega Man X, Zero, and Sigma, and what set up the events for the start here of Maverick Hunter X. And it shows how Sigma became the main villain. So it's worth a watch if you own a copy of Mega Man Maverick Hunter X on the PSP. Before we end our time here at Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, I want to run through every single boss fight here in the game using the Hadouken. This is an ability we unlocked after getting 100% completion in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. For getting all of X's upgrades, heart tanks, sub-tanks, and main weapons. Not only that, but also knowing where this secret unlockable is located, you get yourself the most powerful attack in the entire game, as the Hadouken is a one-hit KO. To perform the Hadouken, you need to be at 100% health. You can't even take 1 point of damage, as the Hadouken will no longer work. And to pull off this move, all you have to do is hit down, forward, and then the attack button. So if you're facing right, down right and then the attack button, or down left and the attack button will activate the Hadouken. This move is extremely trivial to every single boss fight, as a one-hit KO makes every single fight in the game an absolute breeze. But some bosses do have some extra steps that you have to keep in mind if you want to use the Hadouken against them. For example, Armored Armadillo here cannot be attacked when he has his armor on with the Hadouken, as if you use the Hadouken against Armored Armadillo, he will just reflect it back. Hit him using the Electric Spark weapon, and once you knock off Armored Armadillo's armor, then you can hit him with the Hadouken, one-hit KOing this said boss. But for the most part, you're just waiting for an opening for these said bosses, and once the opening is there, unleash your Hadouken, and it will instant kill this boss in mere seconds. This is why I opted not to use Hadouken in my main playthrough of X's run here, all those many years back, playing through Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. The Hadouken makes all these boss fights trivial, but I do think it is fun to run through this game using this overpowered move. And one thing to note about the Hadouken is that this is also one of the saved upgrades in the New Game Plus file. So you can run through all the stages here in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X via New Game Plus using the Hadouken, which will make short work of every single enemy and mini-boss as well as the end stage bosses. But this boss here, specifically the end of Sigma Pals 2, Rongdabanga, this guy is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest boss to use the Hadouken against, simply because we gotta wait for the eyes and the nose to be in a good spot to use this said one-hit KO weapon. And this is where I would recommend having a couple sub-tanks filled, because as I mentioned earlier, you need to have 100% health to use the Hadouken. Taking even one hit makes this weapon unavailable to X. So what I like doing in the Rongdabanga fight is I wait until the eyes and the nose are in a good spot. Then from there, I will heal up after I take some damage, and then use the Hadouken to destroy the body parts that are near me. This seems to be the most effective way if you are going to use the Hadouken against this said boss, due to the area in general just not having that many great spots for X to sit around to use the Hadouken. Because to use this move, you have to be on solid ground. You can't be wall jumping. So in the case of the spikes being in the middle of the room, you need your iframes in order to even use the Hadouken in that said boss fight. And then you get to somewhere like Chill Penguin, and all you gotta do is just wait for an opening and just Hadouken him to death. But I figured to go through all these Sigma Pal stages one more time, this is the perfect spot to use the Hadouken specifically. In your first playthrough of Maverick Hunter X, or even the original Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo, this is really the only time you are able to use the Hadouken against the main Maverick bosses themselves, simply because you unlock the Hadouken after you beat all of the Mavericks. So this would be your only time to really use this said powerful weapon against these boss fights in general. But again, New Game Plus, you can also use this in the main stages as well. So do keep that in mind. But now we defeated all the Mavericks, so we just have a handful more bosses here to defeat using a Hadouken, like Vile here for example. Fun fact about Vile is that this is a Vile 2 fight, where you can use Hadouken to instantly kill this said boss. But if you use a Hadouken back in Central Highway, something that's only possible here in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X via the New Game Plus mode, the Hadouken doesn't work against Vile's armor here. So no matter what you try, you cannot attack Vile using the Hadouken, as his weakness is his head. But using a fully powered shot from our Mega Buster here, that will do a lot of damage to Vile, defeating him in only 2 shots. Here against D-Rex, this boss specifically, you're waiting for the head to get close enough to X when you're on the main body, as you have to use the main body as your platform to stand on to be high enough to hit the head. But wait for an opening, and then you use your Hadouken. Here, Sigma's dog is pretty simple. Just wait for a good opening, usually when it's lunging against X. a good Hadouken will instantly kill the boss.
I'll take you on.
Sigma Phase 1, act quick, and you win instantly.
I should have known you could do it, X.
Sigma Phase 2, on the other hand, this is where using a Hadouken can be tricky. Simply because Sigma Phase 2 is not the most straightforward fight specifically to use any attack. His weaknesses are just a fully powered charge shot and the rolling shield, and you gotta be up close and personal to the head to hit him at all. So we need to wait for a good opening with his hands to stand near his head, use a Hadouken, and that defeats the final boss of this game in one shot. And that is all of the end stage bosses here in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X defeated using the Hadouken.
Mega Man Maverick Hunter X.
But now we've taken a look at all of the unlockable content here in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, its extra difficulty options, and even using a Hadouken against every single boss here in the game. We've covered every single thing regarding Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. I will mention though, there's one other thing that we could take a look at, but realistically, there's not really that much to talk about here, and that is the demo here included with every copy of Mega Man Maverick Hunter X on the PSP. Every copy includes a demo of Mega Man Powered Up.
Mega Man Powered Up!
Mega Man Powered Up here is the PlayStation Portable's remake of the very first Mega Man game that released back in 1987 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And here in Maverick Hunter X, we have a full-fledged demo of this PlayStation Portable remake. In this demo, you can play the new style or the old style of Mega Man 1 here, but honestly, we're not going to really be covering this demo in this video in depth, simply because this demo is just a little sneak peek of Mega Man Powered Up. You play through all of Cutman stage, no matter which style that you play through, and once you beat Cutman, that is where the demo ends, no matter which style you are playing. And to be honest, this demo is very, very interesting. It's just very short. Nothing really too special about it. This is the same version of Cutman stage, no matter which style you're playing, as it would be in the PSP full-on release of Mega Man Powered Up. Although there is one fun little fact to mention about this specific game. Mega Man Powered Up only released here in North America physically on the PlayStation Portable. This was not available on the PlayStation storefront, meaning that if you own a digital version of the PSP with the PSP Go, or own a PlayStation Vita or even a PlayStation TV, there is no way to play Mega Man Powered Up officially on these said systems, at least here in North America. So this demo of Mega Man Powered Up is the only way you can play this game on digital PlayStation Portable systems of any kind. Which is funny because you can see the game running perfectly fine here on a PlayStation TV, but this is only the demo we can play. Although, if you modify your said PlayStation Vita system, you can technically play any PlayStation Portable game, no matter if it was available via the PlayStation Network or not. So realistically, this game never released on the PlayStation Network, specifically due to licensing reasons. Capcom just never released this on the PlayStation Network, meaning that it was a physical only release here in North America, which was very disappointing. But this demo also has a ability to share its said data to another PlayStation Portable system, so you can link up your PlayStation Portable with someone else's system and share this demo with a friend. Very similar to the DS download play functionality on a lot of DS games on Nintendo's rival handheld at the time. All you have to do to game share the Mega Man Powered Up demo is start the sharing option inside of Mega Man Powered Up, and then your friend just opens the game sharing tab on their main menu of their PlayStation Portable. Then from here, you should see your friend's PlayStation Portable show up in your list for game sharing, and then from there, you can receive the Mega Man Powered Up demo on your system. But overall, this is a very fun demo of Mega Man Powered Up. A little short, but it does do a good job at showing the differences between the original version of the game and this new remake here on the PlayStation Portable. But now, let's go back to Mega Man Maverick Hunter X.
Mega Man Maverick Hunter X.
But that's going to do it for this bonus episode of Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. There's a lot to cover here, but at this point we left no stone unturned when it came to remaining content here in Maverick Hunter X. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.